this is a lot of things I normally don't do, but I made an exception for this. Um, I normally don't review things on Fridays, but for the next few Fridays I will be, because I've been asked by Christian Francis and his publishing company, Echo Icon Publications, to review a series of novelizations. This first one's a standalone, but the next three are part of a series. We're going to be talking about the official novelization to The First Power by Christian Francis, based on the screenplay by Robert Resnikoff, who also directed, and starring Lou Diamond Phillips. This is a film from the 90s about a serial killer who, when sentenced to death, comes back to life and starts possessing people and continuing his heinous killing spree. Our protagonist is Detective Russell Logan. When apprehending this serial killer, he is phoned by an anonymous caller telling him not to kill this person. Do not kill him. Do not recommend the death penalty. Well, he doesn't listen to this, and the serial killer is executed. But he comes back as this heinous, being that possesses other people to continue his killing spree, and he makes Detective Logan's life just a living hell. So, Logan teams up with a psychic named Tess, who turns out to be the anonymous caller. We figured that out pretty early on. And they're trying to find a way to stop the killings. And that's pretty much it. It's a pretty straightforward plot. And it's a nice mix of an adaptation of this film. Because we're in a weird time where most novelizations are one of two things. It's big IP, like Godzilla, for instance. They want a Godzilla novelization. So Titan Books has that done. So you have the big novelizations like that. And then you have the nostalgia novelizations, which are a more niche thing, and it's something I prefer because you can really see an author's love for these nostalgia novelizations. The First Power is a film I don't think anyone really remembers, although you can actually find it online really easily. But it's a film that really, in my opinion, I had seen it a long time ago, and I didn't remember it until I got this novelization and I started reading it, and I'm like, I've seen this before. And sure enough, when I rewatched it, I'm like, oh yeah, and I think the novelization is better than the film. Film's well acted. It suffers from, not having the effects needed for the time. It was a little ahead of its time in certain regards. Things are changed in the novelization compared to the film. I believe it's based off of a previous draft of the script, and the ending was changed in the film because of test audiences, I believe, is the reason. So Christian Francis brings back an idea of the old ending, but I think he does his own thing with it. It's nice. This novelization is especially nice because we get Lou Diamond Phillips as an introduction, followed by Robert Resnikoff, which Robert Resnikoff's in particular is really fascinating with his whole mindset when creating this, and how he was actually partnered up with James Cameron at one point to make this film, which I think is so fascinating. But it did not come to be that way. Michael Biehn was not the lead, and Lou Diamond Phillips was, which I think is a better choice for this. It's interesting. It's an interesting story. The ending, it's my one thing I don't care for with this. I appreciate the brutality throughout this book. This book's very on a Christian Francis level of grotesque at times. he always brings out the gore in ways. This is more serious than some of his stuff. Like Everyday Monsters had gore, but sometimes it was kind of like comical, whereas this is very serious. This is more grounded, even though there's fantastical elements. This is probably, out of all of his books I've read, this is probably the most grounded. This is also like one of the first novelizations of his I've read. He's done several novelizations. He did some for Encyclopocalypse. Like, I think his biggest one was Wishmaster. But he did, like, Vamp and Titanfind for them. And now with Echo Icon, he's done Session 9. There's a whole slew of them coming out in October that he's been talking about, which I'm really excited for. The other ones that just came out, the Maniac Cop movies. He did the 3 Maniac Cop movies, novelizations for each of them, which I just got a hardcover omnibus release, which I'll be checking out soon. But I like his spin. It's very clear that he has a love for the craft of horror. Because sometimes when you get novelizations, we've talked about it on Paper Movies before, it is clearly an author for hire. This is a contract. I need this, and this done for this novelization. They say, okay, sure, and they put that together. That's how a lot of novelizations are, and like, you can tell the author didn't care all that much. It was just a paycheck. But this is a labor of love. I don't know how many people were clamoring for a novelization for The First Power, but am I glad it exists? Absolutely. Is it done pretty perfectly? Yes. There are certain things I didn't care for. I thought some of it was overly unpleasant. That's not Christian Francis's fault necessarily. That's kind of the story as in and of itself. There's some heinous subject matter I will not get into here because YouTube would throw a fit, so I won't discuss that. Just so you know, there is a content warning for you of the faint of heart, for lack of a better term. There's some pretty graphic subject matter that is discussed in this. And the ending, I kind of saw it coming. It doesn't help the screenplay author / director kind of says, oh, we did something. He helped me realize this ending. And I'm like, okay, so the ending's going to be different than the film. See, the film's ending is a little wonky. It feels like a reshoot. And it feels kind of half-assed. So, like, I prefer this. I don't like either ending. They're not pleasant. But this feels more in line for, I don't know. It feels very Christian Francis. It feels like one of his. It's not pleasant, but it is. I think most people will still get genuine shock out of it. I won't say what it is. I review stuff like this all the time, so like I kind of saw it a little bit, but I didn't get the full gravitas per se until it actually happened. And I was like, oh shit, okay, this is what's gonna happen now, and I'm all for it. Plus, this book gets a point because it has a cat who's fat, whose name is Jack, like my round cat who's named Jack. So, you know, that always gets points. What would I rank this? I give it a good 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was a real solid novelization. It didn't pull its punches, which was really nice. And it felt like it not only was a good adaptation of the film, but it got the spirit of what the screenwriter / director wanted out of this story. And the fact that we've got Lou Diamond Phillips does an introduction where he really like gets into like the whole some of the 80s serial killer stuff that was going on at the time, which adds some nice context to this novelization. and it's just a really good essay in and of itself. Um, the introduction from the screenwriter, like, it just all feels like everyone was on board with this. And it's just a really nice one. I wish I had read it sooner because this came out back in April, and I got it in April. But I was busy with dealing with a lot of the AVP reviews, Alien Predator reviews at the time. So please bear with me. So I'm going to be doing a series of these Friday reviews for Echo Icon Publishing. Next will be Maniac Cops. So anyway, have a nice day.